What's happening, everybody? How's it going? This is Can I Get More Podcasts in my monitor? I am Johnny Ruckus. How is everybody doing today? It is May 17th, 2020. Yeah, it's a cruddy day out. It's a crappy day out. It's raining cats and dogs or whatever other kind of, thing you want to make up that it's raining. It's raining it, so good for you. It's been a busy weekend so far. Running around, doing a bunch of stuff around the house. Haven't had a whole lot of time or taken a whole lot of time to figure out what I'm going to talk about today. But that's okay. I got to figure it out. So you get to listen to me yammer for a while and drink a cup of coffee. Shout out to Black Rifle Coffee Company. Fantastic. I'm getting jacked up. Today. I am going to talk about one of my guitars, pretty much my favorite guitar. Just one of those ones that you just, it comes together for you when you play it. You know, I think every time I play it, I come up with something creative, or, it's just one of those guitars. It's my Fender Squier 51. Yes, it's a Squier. Yes, it's a cheap guitar, if you will, but it is built really great, and it's a great modders platform. So over the years, everything's been changed out on it pretty much at some point in life, but didn't start out that way. The 51 is different than it is different than pretty much every Squier that they made. Back in 2003, when they started making the Squier 51, it was basically the only, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the only guitar that was like a Squier original, where it wasn't coming from a Fender. It wasn't like a remake of a Fender guitar, like a Telecaster or a Stratocaster. And this guitar ends up getting mistaken for both of those, but mostly a Telecaster. Because what it does is it takes a Stratocaster body, basically puts a Telecaster neck on it, so it's got that smaller headstock on it, which then people think it's a Telecaster. And then what it also does is it takes elements of the 51 precision bass, so like the pick guard and the controls look like they're from that era of P-bass. So you put that all together, and I'll end up putting a video or a photo on the video here, but obviously I'll post some photos if you're just listening to the regular podcast, which I definitely appreciate. It combines all those elements, so it gets mistaken as a Telecaster quite a bit. And I do have to explain that it's called a 51, named after the P-bass that it shares the controls and the pickguard from. This one does, like I said, it's got the Telecaster headstock. It's more Telecaster neck. It's a maple neck, maple fretboard. I think it's a basswood body, so it's nothing fancy. 25.5-inch scale. It comes with a neck single coil, which is like a Strat single coil. It's not a Telecaster. So the shaping and stuff the routing's a little bit different. And then it has a humbucker in the bridge. And then they put a coil split in the volume pot, because there was just a volume pot and a pickup selector. There's no tone knob. And yeah, you can coil split it to make a single coil. And then it had like a rotating pickup switch, so it looked like a tone knob. The only thing that I found with that is if you didn't remember where you were, you couldn't just look at it, because it all looked the same. The volume and the pickup selector looked exactly the same. The knurled, the chrome knurled knob. So that was one of the first things I did when I started modding it, but we'll get to that. This one, they started making them in 2003, and then they went through 2006. And around the end of 2006 into 2007, they were really having a fire sale on them, and I didn't really know anything about these guitars until way later. But they were having a fire sale on them and getting rid of them. They were selling them for like $100. Some places were selling for like 70 just to get rid of them because they weren't going to make them anymore. And I wish I would have known that. Because they were about 150 brand new, like when they first came out. But then they discontinued them. And then what happened after that is people started finding these things. A lot of people bought them for really cheap, $100 for a really great guitar, $70 for a really great guitar. So people bought these things up. They sold out, and that was kind of the end of it. Because, they were getting out of it, right? Couple years. That was fun. That was a good experiment, and that's it. Well, people started getting a hold of these things, and they started modding them. They're a really great modding platform because they're not a super expensive guitar. You don't feel particularly bad about taking any pickups out or changing anything on it. And with a strap body, and I think it's a pretty open route in there, if I remember correctly. As far as for it's been a while. No, I'm wrong. There's a single coil route, and then there is just a humbucker route that's not like a what do they call that? Well, it's not routed out, completely or whatever. But it takes a Strat pickup in the neck, so yeah, and that's mounted straight to the body, so you don't have to worry about mounting to the pickguard or anything. So you can just take the pickguard off and pull the pickup out. Really, it's pretty simple to work on. Strat pickup, you can find anybody. There's hundreds of different Strat neck configurations. I ended up putting like a Hot Rails type in mine. That was modded quite later. But you can put all sorts of stuff. A humbucker route. Obviously, you can put all sorts of any humbuckers in there. And then there's also spots. Well, not spots, I shouldn't say. But there's tons of different bridges. Obviously, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of humbuckers that you can put in the thing. Coil tap, not coil tap, whatever. All nerd stuff. But then other people, they put Telecaster bridges on them. So then, and therefore, you put a Telecaster pickup in it. I thought that was a very, I thought that's a great update or whatever, a great mod. Guess you can see the humbucker route just a little bit, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can put Telecaster bridge on it, put Telecaster bridge pickup in it. I end up getting a different style made for the Squier 51. I thought that the break angle for the strings to the saddles was a little too harsh on the original one. I broke a lot of strings at the bridge, and it was all from that break angle, I thought. So I ended up putting a different bridge on it, and it worked out, and since I did that, and that was like the first mod that I did, everything else was stock for a long time, there was a lot of, I gained a lot from that, just without breaking strings. Obviously the mod was not expensive. Like I said, you can put Telecaster bridge on it. You can put just about any bridge in it. I've seen people wrote them out to put tremolos in it, Bigsby's on it. I know I've seen some with the Jazz Master style bridge, the trem. You can do pretty much anything, and like I said, you don't feel too bad because it's a not too expensive guitar, So they continued making these things through 2006. Then they stopped and they had the fire sale, like I said. People started picking these things up, modding them. Fender found out. I'm sure they were fielding a ton of questions about it too at the time. So in 2011, Fender decided to put a Pawn Shop 51 out. I think the major difference, well, obviously besides being made, I want to say those were made in Mexico. I'm pretty sure, but they could be made in America. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I believe those were semi-hollows. I want to say that there was a sound hole, but they're pretty much the same look. Same style design with the Telecaster headstock, the Strat style body, the control cavity. I believe all that stuff was the same, but they put a little bit of upgrade on it, but it was considerably more expensive. I'm pretty sure it was in Mexico because I think they were somewhere in the, if I remember right, somewhere in the $900 range. And they're going to try to capitalize on, what the 51 was and make some kizash on it. Fair to them. I think I remember playing one a while ago. I saw it in some store. They overshot the price because what you could get out of the Squier was really not that far off from the Fender version. The Fender probably had a little bit better fit and finish, just a tick. But there really wasn't that much of a difference besides being, we'll call it 5 times the price of the original at full price. So that lasted a couple of years until 2013, and they pulled the plug on that. I don't think they sold any of them. And like I said, a lot of people were like, it's not that much of an upgrade over the Squier version. So what they did, which was actually quite smart, is in 2013, they ended production on the Fender model and started building the Squiers again. Pretty much the same specs as the original. The only thing that I can that was like pretty different was they went with a string through bridge and body rather than the bridge mount where the strings go through the back. Actually, you know what? I got that backwards. They went through the string back instead of the string through. Other way around. I can't remember everything. Come on now. I don't think I've played a newer one, because they still make them now. It's a thing still. And they're fantastic guitars. I think they're still in the 150 range. I think the first gen, early generation models are starting to go. They've gone up a little bit because I don't know if it's a nostalgia thing or if they actually are a little bit better instrument. I'm not 100% sure, but you can't really find a first gen one for anything less than a brand new one would be. A lot of time they're more expensive. I bought mine probably somewhere in 2011, 2012. And I believe I paid $150 for it. And I bought another one probably 5 years ago or so. And I think I paid $160 for it. So they're not going down on price, and that's fine. That's still a great price point, and they're fantastic instruments, as I said a million times already. So they reissued it in 13, the Squier version, still going. Changed the bridge a little bit. They may have changed a couple of things on it. You know, production stuff changes quickly. They added some new colors. Actually, not some. I think they just added one new color, I'm thinking. But in the original version, they had a two-tone sunburst, which is the one I have. They have like a vintage blonde. It's kind of like a yellowish white. You know, it's vintage blonde. It looks old. I don't know. I actually had one of those. That was the second one. And then they also had black with the white pickguard. Vintage blondes had a black pickguard. The two-tone sunburst had a white pickguard, but I believe there's 1 year that they had a black one, and people kind of nerd out about these things. So that was like a big thing for a while. You got to maybe try to find a black guard one, and not just a replacement. Got to be OG, right? No one would ever know. No one would ever know. But that's fine. Got to nerd out about shit. And then the new ones, they had all those same colors, but they also added a candy apple red. It's a really fantastic red. I don't know if they just put that for the 2013 or what, but that's all right. Because it's a good looking one, white guard on it. Anyways, I got mine, like I said, in about 2011, 2012. I was with, well, he always comes back, and he's going to be happy that I mentioned him again. My buddy Ryan. Happy birthday, buddy. On Friday. You're old like me. So, wish that guy happy birthday, Mr. RJ Styles. He went with me to Music Go Round. You know, I'm sure I've went over this. I don't particularly spend a crap ton of money on gear. I like gear, obviously. I'm a gear nerd-ish, but I like to find deals. And I don't care if it's, super high, if I can get, I don't care if it's an American standard Telecaster. If I can find an affinity model that I like close to just as much, or it plays really close or better, I'm going to buy that one. I don't need to spend $1,600 on a guitar where I can find something that's pretty damn comparable. And, I can put a couple bucks into it and not feel bad for, $200. Anyways, I'm a big proponent of Music Go Round. I like used gear. They always have good shit. Shout out to Music Go Round. Anyways, I went there with the Ryan, and I was actually looking at a Schecter Schecter 006, I believe. Some of them had twin humbuckers. The one I was interested in had a single coil in the neck. Thought that was really neat. Get a little bit different tones out of it and whatnot. So I always search online, and I was looking for that. It was beat up a little bit. Big deal. I don't care. I think it was like around 150, 170 bucks, maybe 200, probably 150. That was kind of my sweet spot for a while, 150, 200 bucks. So I go in there, and we're searching around, and I'm looking at all the cheap guitars and stuff like that. That's how I roll. And I play the 006, and it's good. I normally play a guitar unplugged first. Even if it's an electric, I got to make sure it feels right. Because you can get a guitar to sound pretty much how you want it by changing pickups and stuff like that. Obviously, Tonewood does have an effect, but you can rewire all the stuff. You can put all new wiring in it if you want to. So that's a lot of difference between the American made stuff and the overseas made stuff is the wiring, obviously the tone wood, but a lot of it with the wiring and the pickups. So you can get a guitar to sound pretty dang good. Maybe it doesn't sound exactly like an American, but it'll sound like how you want it. So I got no problem doing that. So I'm looking at this guitar. It feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. But you got to look around. You got to look around, and I'm looking around and playing a bunch of guitars. I know I was walking from. There was one area I was walking to, and all of a sudden I saw the 51. Saw the big, giant pickguard on it. It's a Fender. I like Fenders. I've been kind of a Fender guy, really for most of the time I've played. Just something about them. I like how they're made. I like the longer scale length. I tend to beat guitars up. So for me, if I'm tuning down a little bit, for me, shout out to Bill Burr. I like that longer scale length. Feels comfortable to me. It's all about comfort. So I see this thing and I was like, oh, what is that? My spidey senses go off. I go over there and, this is cool. I've never seen this, heard of this. This is really neat. What is this? I got to look. Pick it up. Maple board like that. Telecaster head, headstock like that. Probably $149.95 or $99. I like that. I know I probably strummed a couple of chords on it. It was probably out of tune as fuck. And I bought it. I didn't even plug it in. I didn't need to. I didn't think I needed to. It felt that good. That was it. I grabbed it and I said, I think I'm going to buy this one. Ryan goes, well, you're here for the other one. I know. But I think I'm going to buy this one. Cool. All right, ready to rock? Yeah, let's go. Checked out. This is mine. I bought a 51. I never plugged it in. Felt great. Still feels great. Obviously it should. Really connected with the guitar. And that was quite a long time. He drove, so we were driving back to it was probably his apartment at this point. I probably left my car there. And I'm hopping on my phone and looking up, I don't know anything about this thing. And all of a sudden I start looking up and there's like a cult following for this 51. I had no clue. I was late to the party, probably 5-6 years late to the party. I had no idea. I had no idea that there was a cult following there. All these people you can do this mod. Did you ever try this mod? I was thinking this. Do you think this would work? What do you think? There's all sorts of pick guards, that people make. And I'm just floored. I hadn't, until 20 minutes before that, I had no idea what this guitar was. Never heard of it. Never plugged it in. I really actually don't have any clue how it sounds, but I like how it feels. And I like the setup on it. I like the neck being a single coil. The coil tap thing was neat. I never really used it. But the humbucker and the bridge, I played hard rock metal. Obviously, a humbucker in the bridge, right? You got a chunky chug. I liked all the stuff. And it didn't look like a metal guitar, It looked like you'd be playing blues or country on it. So I'm looking at all this stuff and I am floored. And Ryan's driving and he doesn't really give a shit, I mean, he obviously plays guitar and he's happy that I'm happy. But, he's, we've established we look at things different at times, but it doesn't matter. He's trying to drive, I'm just yabbering on and kind of, blown away by what I'm reading on the good old interwebs there. So I remember exactly what happened. I don't know if we went out. We might have went out partying or I went home. I'm not sure. We used to throw down quite a bit back then. We're old now, like I established. Happy birthday, old man. So this quickly became my number one guitar. I loved how it felt. It sounded pretty damn good. I was happy with how it sounded. I didn't think I had to mod it anymore, or at all, really. I was happy with it. But I did find out, like I said, with the bridge thing, I thought the break angle was a little too harsh. So I did some research and found a pretty close to a direct replacement. It was the same with, it was made for the 51. I think I had to change one or two screw holes. Big deal. Ain't no thing. That's what a drill's for. So I put that on there, and it pretty much solved the problem. I'm pretty heavy-handed, as I established in other shows. But I think I put I put the bridge on it, then I ended up putting roller string trees on it, just kind of freed up from binding. I never changed the nut out. I think that's a plastic nut. I wouldn't expect it to really be anything less. And I played the guitar like that for a really long time. When I was in 215, that was when I got that guitar then. That was the main guitar. There's tons of pictures, older pictures of me playing that guitar. I played that guitar every show, pretty much nonstop for, I don't know, 3 years, just straight. That's what I would play. And then, if I needed another guitar, obviously I had a backup because, if you listen to last week's episode, I always had a backup. I played that guitar all the way straight through. I recorded the Dark Passenger by 215, the album, predominantly all with that guitar. $150 guitar. That's what I had. A couple different parts were played. One song was in a drop, like a deep drop C, so I played that on a different guitar. I think I ended up playing 4 guitars on that record, but the 51 was 90% of it. Played it on every song except for that one, and I might even did the leads with the 51. Yeah, I played that, and I'll play a song at the end of this for the outro that I recorded with that guitar, stock. Besides the bridge and the string trees. Then we took a break. 215 took a break, and obviously I played the guitar. But when 215 decided to come back, I think it was about 16, 18 months. I did end up getting another guitar. I got into guitars with EMGs for a while there. And the 51 kind of took a back seat for gigging. I know I wrote a lot on the 51 because it's for me it's a very inspiring instrument. So I can pick it up I know I probably said this earlier, but I can pick it up and I can play stuff as well as it kind of just promotes me being creative. So it's just a guitar that I connected with. So through that time, I was playing guitars with the EMGs in it, probably still writing on the 51, but it kind of took a back seat. And I know there were times, longer times where it ended up in the closet, in the case. And then I bought another one. Probably, like I said, about 4 or 5 years ago, I found another one. Kelly knows how much I liked my 51, and she was doing a course for her some certification she had to do. So I had kind of free range in Madison, which, we don't frequent that often, but there's a tons of places that I don't normally get to go to. So, what is it? Guitar Shop of Wisconsin. Shout out to them. They're awesome. They're one of my absolute favorite guitar shops. It's just kind of packed. Everything is all on top of one another. But I go in there, just kind of dinging around. They have a 51. It was a vintage blonde one. Fantastic figuring on the maple neck. They're all different. This one had a lot of bird's eye on it. Played it, obviously it's a 51. I like it. So Kelly gets out of the class for the day, and I said, hey, they had a 51 over, over at the guitar shop over there. She goes, what, you didn't buy it? Guh. All right, well, let me see when they're open till. So we ran over there and we bought it. I had it for a few years. That one I actually modded. Changed out the pickups. I put a bridge on, like the same bridge, but I changed the pickups up out on that one. That one I had for a few years, and I liked it, but I didn't connect with it as much as I had the original one. So I took all the stuff out of it that I put in there, the pickups and the wiring and all that stuff, and I actually put all the original stuff back in the vintage blonde one so I could sell it. Excuse me. And then I actually put all that stuff in my OG one. That was a few years back now. Let's call it 3, well, maybe. Call it 2-3 years. So that guitar actually sat, you get other guitars. 215 actually came back again. And I know I used the 51 a little bit. Used it as a backup, but I actually had another guitar that I used for predominantly live performances. And then I got another guitar. So the 51 kind of went on the back seat again. I think I had it in the closet. So it wasn't getting a whole lot of use. You cycles in and out. But every time I would play it, I would still be really creative on it. And that continues to be the case today. I have it, you might be able to see the headstock. Well, I don't know. My fat head's in the way. There it is. If you're watching the video, I leaned over. If you're just listening to audio, you're going, yeah, he's just a moron like normal. So you're welcome for that. But it was in the closet. Took a kind of back seat, and then, what happened with 215 happened. Eventually, I'm going to get into that, but I want the boys with me. We lost Josh, and then 215 was done, unfortunately. Really, but the 51 made it back out. It's on, it's right behind me. I'm not propping it up there just for the shooting the video. It's there. I changed a string gauge. I've been fucking with string gauges. I got 8s on it. I really like how they feel. I'm going to end up modding that guitar some more. I've always liked the bridge or the neck pickup I put in it, but compared to the bridge pickup now, it's super duper dark. It's a really dark. It's a thick tone for a neck. Well, they are anyways, but it's a super dark tone. And then the bridge is really bright and kind of brittle, actually. I don't really dig how the bridge pickup sounds anymore. So I'm going to have to do some research and try to find a different bridge pickup for that. But it's still here, and every day it inspires me. I'm going to change a bridge pickup. I did change the wiring in it, so I put the volume pot. There's still no tone knob. I took the coil tapping out because I never really used it anyways that much. I wasn't a real big fan of how it sounded, the coil tap part. And then I put a Gibson style 3-way switch in it so I can actually see what's what. And that's what I've done to it. I ended up putting locking tuners on it. So, I mean, it's modded. But I go on a lot of I'm on a lot of the forums on the interwebs or on the Facebook groups, and there's a lot of people that do just these amazing things to these guitars. Anything you think of it, anything. They route out the neck so they could put a humbucker or a mini humbucker or P90. I mean, you name it. The mods have been done on this thing, and they're really all awesome. And a lot of times people just do that themselves because, like I said, it is a great modding platform, as well as it's a not expensive guitar. So you don't feel bad about doing stuff like that. And then there's other people that, get a different body because it is a Strat body. You just have to get the neck pocket with the square end like a Telecaster neck does. Those are little differences. These are nerd things that if you care, you care. And if you don't, you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, which is fine. But you can go as far as you want to with these things. And people have. There's a lot of awesome things that people have done to these things. So I'm going to continue to use mine, love mine. It really has been my favorite guitar for almost a full decade. It's probably honestly the guitar I've owned the longest in my life. I rifle through them a lot. I've bought and sold a lot of guitars. Obviously, there's people that have more. But I've bought and sold a ton of guitars in my lifetime, and I'm keeping this one. So if you're more interested, I'm going to post some pictures of mine. I'm doing this podcast version, so I'm not going to really make much of a video. Just, you watch it. I do one camera, maybe two if I'm lucky. I'm doing one camera today. Couple edits. I don't do anything fancy, so I'm not going to, on this, make any video about the 51. And I'm sure that I haven't really looked at many videos, but I'm sure there's a million of them out. I'm not going to do anything that's any different from, people who have done far better jobs than I would, But if you're interested, look it up. They're really a great guitar. The maple necks they're shaped fantastically. Obviously, they look great. They have, bird's eye maple on some of them. The one I have is not super bird's eye, but it's a beautiful neck regardless. Two-tone sunburst I have. I wouldn't mind one of those candy apple red ones, but not on my radar at the moment. I don't necessarily need it. Doesn't mean it will stop me. But I'll have to play a couple if I can find a couple. Look them up. They're really great guitars. They're cheap. You don't feel bad about beating them up, but they do sound great. They feel awesome. It's understated, I think, of how great of a guitar they are, and they've kind of went under the radar because they don't put them in like the your starter packs, which they might make a killing if they put some in the starter packs with a decent amp in it, but whatever. Those people are far smarter than I am. So take a look at the Squier 51. It's awesome. It's awesome. What can I say? Let me try to get a shot for the video here. Shiny. Yep. Super simple design. Try to get the headstock in the video as I hit everything. I got Fender locking tuners. You can kind of see it. Super awkward trying to do it this way, but I'm super awkward. So, anyways, look at the Squier 51. Great guitar. Cheap. You can mod it. You can practice your soldering skills, which I still are. My skills have not improved. They're horrible. So anytime I cannot solder, that would be a good thing. But I am going to play a song off the Dark Passenger that I recorded with the 51. I believe the signal chain was a 51, and then I put it through a dual rec Mesa. I think it was a Marshall 412. I don't know what speakers in it. Maybe it was vintage 30s. I'm assuming it was probably that. I don't think they were greenbacks in it. But that was a signal chain. We kept it clean. The signal chain clean. So this is a 51, man. I recorded it with a stock 51. So I'm going to play... Let's see. I played beast mode. That was also with the 51. I don't remember what episode that was. I think I'm going to play Jeffrey. It's called Jeffrey. It's about Jeffrey Dahmer. Of course, the whole band was kind of about Jeffrey Dahmer in certain ways. But if you know the 215 story, you know that story. So this is going to be Jeffrey. I'm Johnny Ruckus. Thanks again for listening to Can I Get More Podcasts on My Monitor? And have a great day. Keep your heads up. And we'll talk to you later. Bye now.